Welcome back. You're watching Catering for Alfajiri. This is the social hour, and of course, as is the norm this morning, we're discussing most of the society ills in the society to be blamed on failed fatherhood, and we're going to be putting this gentleman, who I believe are fathers, on the spot. And of course, we're joined by my co-host, usual suspect. Yeah, let me call you that. That feels more like home.
Yes.
Rami Majala, how can people be part of?
yeah, she's just back from leave and she's so rejuvenated, you can tell, right? You can get in touch with us on our SMS line 20001. Also get us on Twitter at K24TV, at Jimmy Gadu, at Restiano the double S, myself at Rami Majala, and we have Jeff Chapo also, man, at Jeff Chapo. Tweet him, he'll be able to tell you what he thinks, and Albo, just hashtag Albert, he's our director, so in case you want to tell him something, hashtag him, and then, we'll be able to communicate.
Yeah, certainly, gentlemen, good to have you on the show.
Thank you.
So do you agree that fathers in this society have failed us to a great percentage?
Yeah, to a great extent. Yeah.
I think the writing is on the wall, in the sense of if we didn't have, if fatherhood was better, we would see the signs all around. We would see it at the family front, we would see it on national level in terms of different levels of government, we would see it at the places of work. But then we see almost, as it were, systems have come down, and of course they could be better. So we can tell it's not at zero, but it's not where it ought to be. Yes.
So why do you think it's where it is? Are we still going to go back to the argument where we're saying that the boy child is not empowered, and that's why we're having homes which are not stable, men who are not fully committed to their families, and basically men who are finding themselves and they end up doing that within the family setup. So what exactly is the problem?
I think, let me start by saying that when you speak about fatherhood, we have to start from the source. And therefore, we have to speak about man and his source, who is God. Before we come down maybe to man with his lady, with his work, with his children, with his career. So it all starts there. So when man fails to have that relationship with God, he'll end up failing in all these other scope of fatherhood. So it all starts there. Because unless, first of all, man relates with God to understand his role as a father, he cannot be able to do it downwards. So it has to start his relationship with God. Once that is understood and he understands his role, it becomes easy now for him to function as a father in these other scopes.
Pastor Eric, let's go to the basic. How do we define fatherhood? Is just having a child being a father?
All right. Thank you for that question. Fatherhood is one of those things that I think is widely misunderstood, because I think many people associate fatherhood just with the gender issue, and which of course then would disqualify a single mother. And yet a single mother plays the role of a father.
Yes, true.
Fatherhood for me, I would define, I look at fatherhood in terms of function. In terms of, if I want to understand it, I just look at what's the function behind it, and whosoever plays it is taking that role of a father. And for me, when I look at fatherhood, I see 5 things. One, I see a father as one who brings forth, the way, whether we're talking human beings, whether you're talking animals and all that, one who brings forth. I also see a father now taking what he has brought forth and now being able to nurture it. That is, bring out its full potential. We're celebrating Mandela today, all over the world. I mean, looking back at his passing and all that went with that. But we're looking back because there was something he was able to give to South Africa, bring out its potential from apartheid into freedom. Then fathers also provide. Whatever you bring forth, you must provide for it. And at the same time, fathers protect.
But so Eric, is providing enough? There are those people who have very happy homes, quote unquote, happy in terms of how people see them, but not within. So what the father does, He believes his role is just to come, I have paid the bills, I have done shopping, what more? That's where it ends.
Maybe see all those, just to finish on that point, all those I mentioned four. He brings forth, he nurtures, brings out its full potential, full capacity. He protects, and then at the same time, after protecting, part of all this is leading to something. He provides, it's all about leadership. So it's leadership, but through different levels. Leadership in being able to bring forth what was not there, create new things, just like innovation. Bring forth something new. That which you brought forth, provide for it. That which you've been providing for, make sure you also protect it, so that there is posterity. It's there tomorrow. And at the same time, you are working out all that to ensure that it's all part of a leadership framework. So you can't isolate and just say, I provided and so we are set. No, you have to look at all round, are we capturing the essentials of leadership?
But
Maybe to add, let me first of all add on to that. I would just in simple terms define fatherhood as ability to birth and nurture. Not only to birth, but to birth and to nurture. And I can give 3 areas that speak up about fatherhood, and I call them 3 Gs. The first one is to guard, guide, and govern. So the father should guide, he should guard, that's protect, and he should govern. So when these 3 Gs, either of them is missing, the role of fatherhood is at stake, because he has to guide. As a father, he has to give that guidance. He has to do what? To govern. And when he's not governing, because in governing, that's where you display your authority, where you can be able to discipline, you can be able to bring those to nurture and to bring those value systems that are needed in that person so that he can be able to grow up well. And so when either of these G's is missing, you find then the role of fatherhood is not working.
Yes. Then can we say that just the actual definition for each individual man of what fatherhood is, it becomes somewhere tainted when they define themselves as men, first of all, in the wrong way. For example, if maybe a man defines himself, you know, that what makes him a man is maybe his accomplishments, maybe the way he can get women around him, or maybe the way he can, you know, get particular jobs or manipulate people, A, B, C, D. Don't you think that that itself will affect him when he comes into a family setup and now he's a father? Yes. Because he'll think, like Christian said, my job is to just give them food, give them security. I don't need to be here because I'm giving them what they need. So my definition is I need to accomplish this. I need all these women around me, and then you have a family which is not very strong. Can you also say that?
Yeah, we can say that. But let me say something. There's a man I love. He's now late. He used to be called Edwin Lewis Cole. And there's something he said that I love. He said, to be a male is by the virtue of being birthed, but to be a man is by virtue of a choice. So I can say, like what you're saying, those men, we can call them males, whereby they can function biologically as male, sexually, and be able to bring up children. But to be a man is a matter of choice, because you have to take that role of a man. And that role of a man, it has responsibilities, it has sacrifices to be made. You have to be a role model, you have to instill values, you have to be seen by the people that you are fathering.
But do you think our men in this generation understand that? Because they'll read many books, they'll know, you know, they'll always be told, you know, you be a man. Even a men who have children left, right, and center, they know the actual epitome of what a man should be. But the thing is it really real to them that they will encompass it and internalize that this is the way I'm supposed to be? Because they cannot be just lip service.
Let me tell you something. It's very difficult to be a man, especially at this time we are living in.
Difficult in terms of circumstances have made it difficult for them, or difficult for people to make that choice to be men?
Both. And let me start with this. You find it starts from homes. If you look right now in our homes, you find many children are being raised by single mothers. Men have abandoned their homes. And this man, as a boy, he is growing up. He wants to become a real man. but he's being raised up by a woman. And though this woman wants to play the role of a father, she doesn't know much about it, and she doesn't have that ability. Because this boy, to be, when you are raising a man, there's some things you don't just say. There's that observation, whereby this person this boy can be able to learn and see. Because psychologists will tell you that you find children, they'll do more of what they have observed more than what you tell them to do. That's how they function.
See, monkey do.
So you might tell this boy, smoking is wrong, drinking is wrong. But as long as you yourself are doing so, he will end up doing so. So you find these boys, they are being raised without a role model in the home. So he doesn't know the role of a father. So that model is not there. A role model is not there. So this boy will grow up to be a man, and he will say, I'm a man. And most of the time when you hear them say, I'm a man, it's because now he has reached that stage whereby he has got a deep voice, the chest is big. You see now he's a tall bagger. He's a man now. You get, he can bully around, and he has got that energy. But when it comes now to doing the role of a man, you find he doesn't know. Because as we said, a man should protect. So you find instead of protecting his lady, he's molesting his lady. And a man should not do that. So in his home, instead of governing it, he's not there to do that. Instead of guiding the home, he's not there to do that, because he did not grow up seeing these things. And that's why it will shock you. I've seen in certain homes, even there are men there, but you'll find it's the lady who takes the hammer to go and nail it on the wall. Why? And when you discover this man grew up in a place whereby an absentee father, the man thinks when he has bought food, he has paid school fees, he has done all that pertains to fatherhood. But it's more than that.
Pastor Eric, let me just, using what you're saying, is that really an excuse, the fact that you did not see this in your father when you're growing up? But you see, life always gives you choices. You probably might not have had that experience, but you can choose to learn. Yes. So is that a sufficient enough reason for a man to behave in a way that is not so manly because they did not have this father figure when they were growing up?
I think in answering the question, to have lacked proper role models from the family front is one thing. The other thing is where there were still fathers, but they were wrong role models. In terms of they themselves were not schooled. They didn't see either their fathers who are present or absent modeling how proper fatherhood or leadership is supposed to be like. So because of that, they either end up carrying up the wrong that they saw, that a man is just bringing home the meat and the newspaper, and after that, kids, go do your homework, or whatever the situation may be, and at the end of the day, just seeing, well, he's the one who wears the trousers in the house, so there's no argument after he has spoken. And so sometimes what you find is, yes, there's a case where we've not had the father there, and so there was that vacuum which couldn't be filled just anyhow. But there were also the times when the father figures were there, but they were not able to model properly. Then what happens is these sons and daughters end up growing. As they grow, they've grown up with those vacuums of leadership, because the mom did so much, of course, multitasking. But then there were still certain elements that she wasn't able to play in their lives. So when they grow up, go to college, go to work, now, what do you think, when they go to work, they become head of their department, they become managers, become all that. What do you think they pass down to the rest? Because at the end of the day, what they are passing down, even in terms of leadership, you can only give what you have. So they'll only be sending down. What will be trickling is what they picked from different places. And so you find this same person is now a CEO. This same person is even a pastor. But you see, he's a pastor who hadn't been trained. He hasn't seen it being modeled. So they end up now, this same person becomes a politician. So after they get in there, they forget all about you. Because they were never taught from the basic level. This thing is about responsibility, and it's about leadership.
Eric, hold on to that thought. We've got a call. Good morning. Hello.
Hello, good morning.
Tell us your name, where you're calling us from, with your question or comment.
My name is David Moshina.
Yes.
An interest. I'm calling from Nakuru.
Yes.
an interesting topic that you're having here about fatherhood. Personally, I see a father figure as a very important figure in the society, in the respect that as a man, as you're growing up, you want to look at your father and the way he behaves, and you want to emulate his behaviors. And as a girl, when a girl is growing up, you want to look at your father and how perhaps he treats your mother, and you want a man in future who will treat you the same way. And personally, I've been talking to a few young men around. Some perhaps who tend to have some queer behaviors. And when you look at their background, why they behave in a certain way, then you realize that their problem has to do with the father figure. Because I've come to realize that either the father is absent, is not in the family, or the father is present but absent in the sense he's just there to provide, or the father does not even care at all. He's there but absent, not providing, not caring about the family. And in my little research, I've come to discover the problem has to do with the father figure, the absence of the father in the life of this person. So that's my contribution.
Thank you very much, David. That was very insightful. Jimmy, can you relate with what David just said?
You know, it's, how do I put it? I mean, like I told you when we were doing the paper review, Resian, that for years, I don't know whether this generation is what's going to change after many years of, lack of knowledge or understanding for that matter, is that I don't know any one person who can boldly say that they were taken through the, the process or the chapters or the rigmaroles of being a father. I don't know anyone who can boldly say, I have been trained, I have been brought up by a father who groomed me to become a father. And that's what the challenge is. So, and then you've got the challenges of, economic disparities, looking at ways and means of providing for your family. Because then you're told a husband or a father is one who must provide. And you think that's it. So if I can provide for you guys, and I can go ahead and be a young man, I can go ahead and do that, I can go ahead and do whatever I want to do, because as a father, what I'm supposed to do is provide. Others are told, for you to prove that you're a father, you have to be strict, you have to use a cane, and no one says anything. No one can stand up to you and tell you anything. Not your wife, not your kids. That's what fatherhood is. So there's a lot of confusion in terms of what really is the role of a father. Who is a father? And maybe thanks to this kind of shows that we're doing now, we are able now to learn from our mistakes and say, no, let's take it piece by piece by piece. What's my emotional involvement with my family? How do I determine, or how do I forge ahead in terms of how to train my kids on how to handle their emotional responsibility? What does it mean to provide? Is it financial? Is it emotional support? Is it preparing the next generation of fathers? What is it? No one teaches you that until now. But anyway, and that's why you've got those two there with us and they're doing a great job. But let me tell you what guys are saying. Stanley Nelson says, nowadays technology has changed everything and fathers do not spend most time with their children.
That's true.
You need to spend time with your kids, man. It has an effect. Can I tell you when the bond starts, Resian? Remy? And guys will say, me? Change diapers? That's not my job. That's mama's job. Let me tell you, when you're changing your baby's diaper, the baby looks nowhere else, looks at you in the eyes. That's where it starts. Did you know that?
I hope they're taking notes.
I'm telling you, you as you're changing the baby, you're changing the baby looks at you.
Definitely.
And you say, yeah, oh, umepupu, oh, yeah. There, it starts from there. Anyway, moving on. Joseph Andrew Keta. Also, you can't blame fatherhood. Everyone is responsible for his or her own choices. Not true. You have to be told by somebody. A daughter's first love is, a daughter's first romantic experiences with the father. Hey, sweetie, you look nice. Yeah, well done. Well done. You've been circumcised. How kulia? Well done. So it starts. Tony, could be more to do with fathers failing to take their children to Sunday school to learn the ways of God early in life. Very true, by the way. You know, so religious or spiritual growth. Whose responsibility is it? Is it the priest or is it you as a father? Who teaches you that? Sam K. Guaranteed, yes. Fathers are to act as pace setters in society. When they fail their posterity. True. And as a generation grows without direction, they have nowhere to turn to when they become fathers themselves. True. Jogu. Fathers need to guard, guide, and govern. Very well put. Guard your family, guide your family, and govern. That's why we have those two there as our guests to start with this. Most fathers in our generation are absentee ones. Lack of models and good guidance from fathers affects not only boy child but girls too. Very true. Gilbert from Kenya. It may be one of the causes, but so many factors are in play. What about the internet and other media? If your father is not there to guide you, or parents for that matter, failure. Waluwande. Many fathers will not agree. They are simply required to provide and behave well, as stipulated by the wife. Good one. Kaki. It is important. It is important that fathers be present in their kids' upbringing. However, we can't blame them for ills. Lastly, Alex Liz. Blame the society. Not sure what that means, but there you have it. Resi? Christian and Remy?
All right, let me not throw you another question. I know it will bring a back and forth, and we'll have to engage Pastor Eric and Pastor Mburu. But let me ask you, Pastor Eric, I know we come from a background where we believe we had a better upbringing than the kids that are being brought up in this day and age. But even in those days, we had allow me to say, a very chauvinistic father, in terms of when the father walks in, you all walk out, or unajipa shughuli, or just look like you're busy. There was no connection in terms of also how they related to their kids. Could that be also an effect as to the kind of people that we're seeing today? There was no communication. You cannot converse with your father, basically. He is not of your age bracket. Okay. That's what you will be told.
Yes. Definitely, that is a major factor, and in fact, it even emphasizes something that I think many times keeps getting overlooked. I don't think the major, how do I put it? I don't think that we can attribute fatherhood to only absentee fatherhood a lot. I think sometimes those are like stereotypes, just the same way say a man is to provide, period, or a man is to provide discipline, like Jimmy said. Many times, in fact, for me, I think sometimes when you look at it, we could deceive ourselves by thinking the fact that there's a male figure means that there's fatherhood in the house. No. Just like you rightly put it, if you look back maybe in our generation or generations past, you find where the fathers were there, but like you said, no communication, no interpersonal skills, no time together to share together, have learning, do things together, change the diapers, as had been said, and all that. That in many ways, of course, contributed to what we have. And again, you find the fact that I think better than not even having, sometimes better than not even just having a role model, sometimes it's having the wrong model. I really want to insist on that, because many people could be watching, even many men at home, and thinking, I'm not one of those absentee ones. I'm there in the house. But what are you doing in the house? Is it just an issue of like one person said...
Pastor, we have a phone call. Hello, good morning. Hello.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning. Please tell us your name with your question or comment.
Yeah, my name is Pascal Katambo. I'm calling from Goy. Yeah, actually, I totally disagree on certain issues which you have already discussed, that fathers have failed in the society. Not all fathers, actually. For example, I'll give myself a credit because I've been doing these things, kufunga watoto nappies and like.
I knew someone would react.
Yes, I've done that one. I've been taking my children all over whenever I'm at home, and I've been making sure that at least after work I would go home, see what is going on at home. There's food, watoto wameoshwa, wamefanyiwa kile kinachotakikana na mfanyaji kazi, mama yao papa yuko pale. And then if it is to move out, after that I go out by Sambili, I'm at home and the likes. So nimekuwa nikifanya hivyo kwa wakati wote. So I totally disagree, and it's not all fathers who do that. Kuna wazazi wengine pia wanakosa kufanya zile kazi zinazotakikana. Kuna wengine wanasema hii kazi ni ya mama au ni ya mwanamke. So, which is wrong. I agree, but not all fathers have failed in the soft.
Right. And the thing is, we're not saying that all fathers have failed.
Definitely.
We're just saying that it's alarming the kind of, men are coming out right now. Because they're either scared of the responsibilities or something, according to what we're discussing, is not going on right. And I know, Eric, you're saying something, so I'll let you finish that. But while you're at it, I was thinking about this thing. There's a man who, when they get married or when they're with their girlfriends, fiance, whatever, they always, they're looking for their mother. Or this woman figure who used to treat them like A, B, C, D, and I know that it's the same for girls, but there's something with, men looking for that woman, factor. So can you also attribute, that particular thing to men who, been brought up by ladies, or really can't differentiate between this is now my girlfriend, my wife, my fiance, and she's not my mother?
Interesting. To finish the school of thought that I had before, as I comment on that, when you look at it, you'll find that, well, like I was saying, there's the challenge of having the absentee father, but I find an even bigger challenge, not that the other one is any less, but an even bigger challenge is having this other man or father figure, and not just at home, because I see fatherhood, of course, it would start from home, but spreading beyond. We have our city fathers, we have national fathers, government being a father figure to the nation. And so you can look at it, it's so wide, it's so wide. But I look at it and I think about it. So we have city fathers at City Hall. We have national fathers at government. They are there present, but are we feeling it?
That's true.
You see, are we feeling their leadership? Are we seeing responsibility? Look what the doctors are doing now. It's because our fatherhood system has failed. The fatherhood there is called national government.
Right.
It's failed. It's not providing leadership. When they got into power, the first thing is to ask for their own salaries. What about the teachers? What about the police service? What about, there are so many other aspects. And today, like children, they too are demanding their rights because the fathers who are there showed them this is the way. Haki yangu kwanza, nikule kwanza,
and that's what we were saying, that a father should be able to make a sacrifice. And when you see a national father, he cannot make a sacrifice before he goes to work. He wants his demand to be met. And all this is the same concept that comes from African culture, whereby you find this man had 2 or 3 wives. His house is the center of the homestead. Every woman cooks and bring meat. Everyone has to serve him. He has to eat fast before everybody else eats. And if it's a chicken, he has to eat the 2 thighs, the gizzard, and the chest. Are you getting me? The rest that is remaining, they put soup. They put soup. So if he has not eaten the 2 thighs, the chest, and the gizzard, he has not eaten. It's the same concept now. It has been brought to the national level of a father who is selfish. Whereby a father should first of all make sure that the children have eaten and the wife, so that what is remaining he can eat. He wants to eat fast. And now that is the problem. The concept from African culture has been brought now to the national level of fatherhood. That's what you find. They'll say before they go to parliament or pass bills, you find out for how long this counting thing has been going on. They want more salaries. Yet they are saying this economy cannot be able, the wage bill is too big. But they don't want to make a sacrifice, first of all, to work. They first of all want to eat. The problem?
The gizzard.
And you see, like you said, when you brought out the issue of the men now looking up to the women or the girlfriend, etc.,
All right,
and so forth. When I look at it, I see wherever there is a vacuum, The vacuum being either the person is absent or the person is present but not playing his role, fulfilling his role. What you have now is people now pick up options, alternative models. One of those now could be looking up to the ladies from the mom.
But
And
can a woman really ever feel a void that is supposed to be filled by a man, even if it's feeling it? Like, isn't that going to be such a, you know, something that would eventually break a man, because a man is his ego, and then women, we're emotional, we nurture. Now, if you take a lady to fill up that emotional, I don't know, it's crazy. It's a bit confusing also.
You see, for me, the thing is not just, I'm not looking at it just on a gender basis. Yes, I know that the man, even from as a male gender, of course, carries a lot of responsibility. But remember from the onset, fatherhood is about function. You're guiding,
Guiding and governing.
guiding and guarding and governing.
Yes.
You know, providing direction, bringing forth, cultivating, taking you from one level to the other. So I'm looking at it in terms of function, so that the single mother doesn't look and say, well, since there is no man, boys, you'll have to live up with it. There's something I won't be able to give you. If they can play the role, provide direction for these people, be there for them, presence, and, you know, speak into their lives, you will find some might to significantly affect the lives of these people. So when they end up either looking to the mother or the whosoever is there, you find ultimately, if that person doesn't play that role, they'll still end up going off. Another model we see, especially in Africa, is street families. There's a street family model where now we grew up without father, without anyone providing direction. So like what you find, street families or quote-unquote chokoras, is we all fend for ourselves. I'll have to, anything I know, I'll have to learn it for myself. And which is what you find, again, at many levels. That's how you find a man comes up with this theory, my job is to provide. That's street model. Another one says, well, my job is, as long as, I show presence. And when I roar, everyone knows I've spoken, no one speaks after me. So you find men, like you said, beating their chest, the King Kong thing.
Gizzard.
Beating the gizzards. Whether those are the public coffers that they are looting, whether it is the pastor saying, send money to this account. I mean, what's that? That's failed fatherhood. So on all the different levels, at business, in the corporate world, where you find now for an intern, if you want to get a job, you must sleep with someone. That's failed fatherhood. Yes. Not thinking, I too started at one point like that in turn. If I can help him bring out his potential, nurture out, stretch him, exercise him, tomorrow, what I taught this young man, this young lady, they will do it when I'm not there.
Just to add on to what
Pastor Moro, before you respond, we have to take a break, but we will be back shortly. This is the Social Hour. Do stay with K24.
Sorry. Sorry, we're having a discussion. There, my suit open and all that. In terms of, where does training in terms of being a father is? And you'd be surprised, and the pastor's just bought it. I'm sure he's going to share that with Rachel and Remy shortly. In terms of where this happens, when you sit with your kids and you say, there are certain things a man cannot do, there you are. You don't have to say it, you just have to do it. Kids observe, and that's where the lesson is. So, how do we redefine that? More in terms of what you're saying. Coach says, a lot of fathers don't look up to the family, and at the end they fail. Fathers should guide. True. Goge. Ladies should be careful on who they marry. Not all with beard, deep voice, or in a pair of trousers is a man. Some are big boys.
Yes.
Really?
It's true.
Okay. Somebody says, fathers need to guide. Yeah, I've said that. Yeah. Most kids these days don't see their parents. They are brought up by nannies, TVs, and the internet. Sad, but true. Mozo said, the problem lies in the education and what makes masculinity in Africa. Very true. Teach boys to be men and good fathers. A boy-child focus plan. True. Fathers are a disappearing breed. God help us, is Kilash. Joel, not really. Everyone ought to be responsible for their mistakes. Somebody says, yeah, a good example is alcoholism. Okay, yeah, okay. TV, I must agree to some extent. This is Ndoigo, to some extent, but also this is a responsibility for the two. So whatever responsibility is taken by both. I'm not sure what you're saying, but I think you're mentioning fathers and mothers. Martin says, our dear ladies are to blame. They have pushed fathers out of homes. No peace at home. Lastly, Gilbert, talk of professional pressures and pursuit of wealth. Some think money can replace parental love. That's very true.
Jimmy,
You know, yes, Redmi, you want to ask something?
Right. Now, so just something that that person who's texted and just said, okay, fine. I'm hearing this and, a lot that women are the ones who push men to being, the way they are. And what we were discussing also before the break was that some women may not actually know how to, rather they cannot recognize that they're being treated badly because of what they were, like you said, taught in classrooms. For example, if you are told, don't ever question a man, shush, so they'll always be keeping quiet. Absolutely. Is that what, the problem could be? And that thing about blaming women, I mean, I don't understand that.
The thing is, when you, and I like what Pastor was saying, that when the classroom has gone beyond the four walls that we know as a class, now even within the confines of your home, and situations that happen, if you openly challenge your husband, openly dismiss him, openly question his decision as the head of the home, you are teaching your kids that that's the norm, that you can question, even though the father is the head, you can question and overturn his decision in front of everyone. There's no discussion. Those are lessons that kids pick up very quickly. So when you are challenging, and that's why I said it's very sensitive, or you need to be very careful on who you seek your advice from. So if somebody tells you, ule chali, akisema hivi kama nangia home saa 9 wewe ingia saa 11, and that's what you do, kids don't question that because they think, oh, that's the norm. Don't forget, kids will not go to somebody else's house and ask the parents, how do you guys deal? They can't. They will learn from their friends. So when they see things happening with their parents, that is what they believe is gospel truth. So if you check in at 10, or if your husband comes into the house at 10, or even 2 o'clock, and you say, hey, ngoja uone, mimi naingia 5. Let me tell you something. Your daughter will get married and will do the same thing thinking, but my mom used to do the same thing. And then when she comes and asks, Mom, why is this guy arguing or beating me because, or whatever the case may be, that's what you used to do with Dad. What will you tell your daughter then?
Pastor Eric, you want to expound on that? Monkey see, monkey do.
Yes. The issue had been raised before about, do we have centers where fatherhood is being modeled and is being taught, and where from the basic level of leadership, which is from a family level, individual and family level, where it's being seen. And I think something had been said to the effect that, maybe if we saw more of that, or maybe there are more centers, more forums, that it would definitely be better. But I think, like we are saying, the classroom setting has changed, but class has not stopped. So if you are to look at it even from the family level, so when this man comes home at those odd hours, he's teaching the children something. He's teaching them masculinity or manhood is you are the boss. You
unquestionable.
Unquestionable authority.
Checking at whatever time, and nobody
at whatever
should ask
time.
where you are from.
So my job is to pay the fees, school fees, and cater for the rent. The rest is up to you. He's teaching them something. I don't have time to play with my kids, spend time with my wife. He's teaching them something.
And to add to that, Pastor Eric, I can come at 10. I don't care. As long as I come, everybody should be awake to serve me, to open the gate for me, to sit there until I eat, until I'm comfortable. If I'm not comfortable, nobody else should be. So you come at this hour, you don't care. Everybody has to be awake to wait for this, this man, the big man.
The king is coming.
The king has come.
The man of the gizzards.
I know.
And you see at the same time, and you look at it differently. So what's my role as a father in terms of preparing my kids for the future? Do I leave that for the teacher? Because by doing that, I'm teaching them something. I have no voice, I have no say in your future. My job is you get what you need to do, I'll pay the fees. Someone else does that. Spiritual guidance. Wherever it is you are going to develop yourself spiritually. How many people grow up? I grew up in a setting where my dad would send us to church, but he would stay back at home, read newspapers, or watch a game. So he's teaching me something, you know, so class is going on.
Probably we should ask
Carry
how you
that.
ended up being a pastor.
Yes. Which should be where probably we should go next, in terms of where we had either absentee fathers or fathers who are there but didn't play their role. What's the remedy to it? But if we were to extend it and say that was the home front, I'm thinking about government. You remember after the MPs finished with the whole issue of their salary and the fight with the remunerations committee and all that, the county governments also started, remember, at different levels. They too protested. They went on strike. Why? Class is going on.
Yes.
They've learned from the bigger boys how to do it. They've learned from the bigger fathers how to do it. They are going on. So I go to church. And when I go to church, again, just different levels where we see fatherhood. And at church also, I'm seeing everything is about just miracles, miracles. No principles, no process, no discipline, no cultivating of values.
No accountability.
No accountability, you know. I'm supreme authority. Bring your seed or do this. It's miracle, miracle. What am I teaching you at your workplace? But all you have to do is depend on God in prayer. Don't
And
be
He'll
diligent.
provide.
You see?
With the
Don't be diligent. Yes.
Eric, Pastor Eric, hold on to that. We've got a call. Good morning. Hello.
Hello.
Tell us your name, where you're calling us from, with a question or comment.
My name is David Makao,
Yes, Macau.
Nairobi Mweki.
Yes.
I would like to say that fatherhood, number one is to advise.
Yes.
Number two is to govern. Number three is to guard.
Yes.
Number four is to provide. And when you do all those things, you are not a father to the children only. You are a father even to the wife. And when you sit down together, you all become a society. And the society brings out maono, which guides that family to be a family in the correct way, biblically or traditionally. And in that way, a father becomes a father. In either way, in either problem, and whatever the family needs, and whatever the father wants to be done, and in all aspects affecting the family affair. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Macau. Eric, you're saying something before I interrupted you.
Yes, that we looked from the family level, we looked at government level, because government is also national fathers. We looked at, even if we were to look at the religious world, whether it's the imam, the sheikh, whether it's the pastor, whether it's the Hindu priest, they are all fathers, and so they are teaching. So if they just teach miracle, miracle, there's no process, no principle, the member who is a secretary, who is in the workplace, whatever area of profession, that's what they carry to their place of work. I don't need to work hard. All things is by faith, is miracles. Or I just need to trust in God instead of work skillfully with my hands. If you are to translate, again, the same thing also to the business place. So as a CEO, I come into the office at 12 and I leave in by 3. So what am I teaching those who are working with me, actually, for me? Because I'm teaching them, actually, you work for me.
Yes.
And yes, there's a sense to it, but then they also begin to think, when I too become CEO, you'll be doing the donkey work.
For that.
They look forward to
They look forward to that freedom, because there is no sacrifice to it. So this person who is down is not enjoying being down there. He wants to be liberated from this strong arm that is oppressing. Because this person who is a father figure does not understand. He needs to sacrifice, and he needs he's building a legacy based on value systems. And because now that those value systems are not there, as we were saying earlier, you find, because the wrong value systems were given. And maybe to add into that, there's something you said, and Jimmy tried to speak on it. Let me say, to a large extent, majority of women don't want to control their homes. Many are forced by circumstance.
Yes.
Let me say even this issue of women affirmative action, it is because of being oppressed. If men were to play their role well, I believe a normal good woman wants the husband to lead.
Exactly.
You'll find many of them will take even the entire package of the salary and bring it home to the husband and say, honey, this is the entire money. But because of this macho man, at times they find, if I continue like this, then things will not.
My interests are not catered
are
for.
not catered for. Are you getting me? Then it's not catered for. So, and that's what I find, okay, I don't agree with it, it's wrong, but at times this woman thinks the only way to liberate myself and my children is to grow horns, so as at least to have a space whereby I can be able to do something. And at times the crisis comes in that area because we find, to a great extent, and the medical, even psychologists will tell you, because it is the women who become pregnant, it is normal, children are automatically attached to their mothers because of that bond that is initiated from the womb. So this man has to be a real dad, a real man, in order to get the confidence of these children. That's why I find even in a normal setup, I would see my children, it is easy for them to confide on their mother than on me, because from that tender age, there is that connection. So you find, if this man, as even Akola said, will also father the wife, you'll find out the wife, because I say like my children, the mother will always bring them back to me because I'm the father. Or he will make them, even when I'm bringing some disciplinary measures in the house, when they go like to her to protest, he will say, Dad is doing that because of A, B, C, D, and then they'll say, I understand.
Right. But Pastor Mburu, that being said, I know because of time, the director is telling us time is really bad. How do now the men heal? For example, like you say, some men, they've seen it from their fathers. There's no communication. And then they'll end up doing the same thing when they have the children. And then the cycle goes on. We have messed up generations. So how can they recognize their mistake? And then we stop the excuses. And then they take up their mantle. Because one caller said, true, not every father is like that. But we have cases like what you just said. Women are taking up the platform because they've been forced to. You cannot blame these women. So how can the men reconcile from the past what has happened to them?
Excellent question. I think it's a granted that largely in Africa and of course the world also, we are suffering from the male issue, the fatherhood issue is an issue all round. And in looking at now, how do we resolve this? What are the remedies? I would say this. Starting from the family level, and of course looking at it professionally, governmentally and all that, I would say that if you don't have a proper modeling of what it means to be a man, to be a leader, to be that father figure at home. Like we said, to be male is by choice, but to be male is by birth, but to be a man is by choice. If you don't have a proper functioning fatherhood at one level, you can always seek out the right fathers. They're always there. I'd give two examples. One, let me talk about Mandela. I watched on TV last week as the whole procession and plans were going on, and they showed on TV, they interviewed some Kenyans just on the street, and they said, what do you think about how does the passing away of Mandela affect you? And this man was almost breaking into tears, and he said, I feel like I've lost my own dad. That's a guy from Kenya. His village may not even be on the map somewhere. But the guy is looking and he's saying, Mandela was like a father figure. To me, that was a big ouch to our leadership here in Kenya. Because I said, you mean this person will identify with a father several thousand miles or kilometers away? So what does that mean about the space that is right here? He can't identify. But how did Mandela become a father figure to him? Mandela taught him through his years of sacrifice. He taught him through his selflessness. So he's taught the man something that probably someone around isn't teaching. Secondly, there's this good movie, Coach Carter. We use it especially several times when we're doing meetings with men and we're emphasizing on leadership. And where you find, like I said, if you missed fatherhood on one level, whether it was biologically, whether professionally or governmentally, you can always find some other good father somewhere out there. In the movie Coach Carter, which is based on a true story, this coach goes to this high school that is full of rebels, gangs and all that. They are the way they are because of their upbringing. They didn't have proper fathers. Their fathers maybe are in jail somewhere, or absentee fathers. But this man plays that role. He becomes a father using the forum of school. But you see him going beyond just academics and going into their lives. He places emphasis. You must get good grades. I'll teach you the game, but you must be disciplined.
For you
I'll
to
change
play
you.
in
For
my
you to
team,
play in my team.
you have to perform.
You see? And when you look at the end result, he ends up transforming them. The whole story, from boys to men. So whether it's at your workplace, you can find someone good who will model the values and virtues of fatherhood. Whether it's at government, it can happen. From home level, there's an uncle, there's an aunt, there's a pastor, there's a leader. Someone outside there you can look up to, an icon that will make you become the man you're supposed to be.
Pastor Mboro, very briefly, final thoughts on this?
My final thought is to men that the society is looking on men to rise up to the place of fatherhood, where they can be able to guide, to guard, and to govern. As simple as that.
Oh, well, I don't think there's anything I can add on to that. Remy, you want to say something?
No, I think everything has been said today. I don't want to water down on anything they've said. That's really deep for today.
All right, this has been the Social Hour on K24 Alfajiri. We will be back shortly. Do stay with us.